What's up, y'all? This is Mike Manzer with another Manzer Faust Productions video, and back to business. Let's do another Stop, Watch, and Listen. This is episode 9. Been a minute since I've done one of these. Not a shit ton I want to talk about this time. Really want to dive into some new releases and some back catalog releases I've gotten from Vinegar Syndrome and their OCN partner labels. The new Vinegar Syndrome sub-label, Cinématographe. I can't really say the name of it. Everybody, Cinématographe, whatever. Want to talk about those releases and some new records. A couple of vintage scores from a couple of weeks ago and some 2024 releases. Just to, give you a heads up of some cool stuff that's already coming out. This year has already been insane with cool releases. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it with probably the newest addition to the partner labels that I am most excited about. This is a company I've been a fan of forever. A lot of their insight on great SOV titles. Greatly appreciate what these the people behind this project have done. And that is the first release from Bleeding Skull as a partner label, Blonde Death. I believe this is from 1986, right? 84. This is a film directed by James Dillinger, aka James Robert Baker, part of this community art collective in Los Angeles known as EZTV. You have a lot of great behind the scenes kind of information, old interviews, and a studio tour related to that. The film is incredible. First off, I love the soundtrack to this film. You have a lot of songs by the Angry Samoans. And once I figured out that it was Angry Samoans, I'm like, hell yeah, this is amazing. I love that band. And really fits the kind of attitude of this film. It's very transgressive, very goofy. Has a very John Waters shot on video kind of vibe. So, you get a lot of the kind of aspects of over-the-top kind of transgressive comedy and filmmaking that you got from like Pink Flamingos or even Multiple Maniacs put into like an 80s shot on video like context. And it's a blast. The characters in this are very entertaining, very over the top, just ridiculous. It's just a ton of fun. The cleanup on this movie is incredible, and that's to be expected with a lot of these Bleeding Skull releases. They have also worked with AGFA in the past, so we've seen their work as far as that's concerned. But seeing them actually come through as a full-on partner label now is a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with. And also fills in kind of a gap left by the departure of Culture Shock as a partner label. You got VHS Hit Fest, and you also have Saturn's Core releasing a lot of this shot on video, no budget kind of stuff. But I feel like Bleeding Skull, there's like a prestige to it. These are like higher echelon kind of shot on video films. And people who are familiar with their website, their fanzines, everything like that, know the name Bleeding Skull and know the quality of films that they promote and represent with their company. So yeah, really excited to see what else they come out with on this partner label. Blonde Death, definitely recommended. Up next, got a couple of older releases that I kind of slept on at first. Wanted to go over these real quick. First up, from Crocodile, we got Zerograd. Really love love Zerograd. This is a wacky little film from Russia in the late 80s, 88. And this is just like classic tale of a guy kind of showing up in this town he's not so familiar with, and it's just everything seems completely wrong. There's a lot of like kind of propaganda that doesn't really make a lot of sense. They're kind of rituals and lifestyles and everything do not really make sense to the main character in this movie. He was kind of just like wandering through this small town. He has no way of getting out of there, and it's just heavily populated by the weirdest possible people you would ever find. And it's just a very interesting, very like Monty Python, more so in like the Terry Gilliam kind of aspects of it. Very wacky, very subversive too. You get a lot of like this kind of subtle take on kind of working class kind of mentalities in that part of Europe. And it's interesting to have films like this. I always like repping and like giving flowers to companies like Deaf Crocodile. I did a partner label video dedicated to them. And it's cool to see them releasing movies from parts of the world that really don't get a lot of representation. And right now, with what's going over in Russia, mostly from like the government and the powers that be in those countries, it's good for us to have like a context as to the people, the culture around the country, to kind of shine a light on what we're usually distracted by because their governments are just like running haywire and doing a lot of terrible things. But we need to realize that there are a lot of great artists and people within these countries that definitely do need representation, because if there is not a company putting these out, a lot of times they might get lost and people would not be able to see these films and they wouldn't get these representations of these cultures. And I feel like that's very important. Physical media, that's like one of the biggest things about it, is it shines a light on these films, and you can have it, you can watch it whenever, you own it. It's not like these streaming services. There's a lot of controversy right now. They just delete stuff constantly. So it's good to know that Deaf Crocodile and other partner labels are releasing very underground, unknown, but very inspiring cinema, important cinema. You can see a lot of influence that was put into this film, but also some influence that came for stuff later on. You do have a lot of David Lynchian kind of like dream logic to a lot of this as well. And it does kind of remind me with the kind of fish out of water, weird kind of environment of a Blue Velvet kind of film. So very cool. Zerograd. If you have not picked this up, I feel like a lot of people who are familiar with Deaf Crocodile know this film, but man, this was such a good time watching this. So check it out. And from Factory 25, this is one that I really knew nothing about, and I was very pleasantly entertained by this film. So wanted to just kind of talk about it here. That is White Reindeer. Very interesting film. Kind of a little bit of a mumblecore kind of vibe to it. Factory 25 has released a few kind of films in the mumblecore genre, but I kind of dug this more than a lot of that stuff. Typically, this is from 2013. Basically revolves around this woman who works as a real estate agent. She's really obsessed with Christmas. Like, it's like her one time a year where she feels like totally happy. Nothing can go wrong, that kind of thing. And sure enough, her husband is killed kind of under mysterious circumstances on Christmas. And she's kind of left in this sort of weird kind of place where like Christmas now holds this completely terrible kind of vibe to it. She falls in with a lot of weird crowds, um, people she probably wouldn't typically get involved with before. There's a lot of drugs. You see her work start to suffer. You see like her like family start to, become distant from her life. It's just but it's also got this great sense of humor and this kind of dark comedy to the whole thing, and a very awkward kind of humor as well, which I really did enjoy about it. And I just found myself really enjoying this film. It's dark, it's very kind of bummer at times, but it always plays it up very light. It's got this very indie, quirky kind of feel to it as well. Um, as far as like the whole like mumblecore thing, even if you're not a fan of that, I feel like you could really get down with this. It's just got a very like um, authentic kind of feel to it. It just feels like these are real people having real conversations. So I really enjoyed it. Really great characters, very funny. Um, some great like music throughout it. Just great atmosphere. It's fun, but it's got a darkness underneath it. It's kind of the tone is all over the place. I really, really did like it, and it's kind of a strange ending, a little of a upbeat ending, but it's also kind of up in the air. Very cool. All right, let's get into some of these cinematograph titles. First up, let's start with the first release. That is Little Darlings. And man, I'm kind of sad I slept on this. This is such a great sort of teenage coming of age kind of film, based around a summer camp, sort of like a little bit of like a female perspective of like a thing like Meatballs. The kids in middle, they happen to be in middle school here, but it's that typical trope of like 80s and 90s teen films of trying to lose your virginity and the kind of competitions that come along with a lot of that. Just really great characters, and like it's a little awkward for somebody who's like 35, who some of these conversations just hit a little bit too creepy, let's say, because it's just it doesn't like really shy away from some really disturbing subject matter, especially considering the girls in this are in middle school. They're very young. Like early teens. It's just kind of a little creepy, but I like how they play with these characters, their kind of dynamics, the different kind of cliques that come up within their different friend groups and everything like that. Their kind of alliances to who they're friends with, the kind of betting, like gambling situations arriving around this kind of competition of who is able to lose their virginity first. And it's got a really cool amount of like commentary on female friendship, especially at that young age. I see a lot of comparisons with this with something like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and this is a little bit heavier, I'd say, than Fast Times. Fast Times, like, yeah, the ending gets really kind of heavy and goes into some brutal subject matter, but I feel like this seems a lot more real, a lot more like the stakes are a lot higher at points in this. Matt Dillon, very young in this film, great part as just this kind of dumbass teenager. Kind of presents himself as like a rebel, kind of outlaw kind of kid, but he's really just like dumb as rocks. But he's got a big heart. He's very caring. He kind of takes a few situations for it to expose what is really inside of him. Is really kind of touching. And like I said, the friendship between the two girls who are supposed to be in competition seeing that evolve throughout the film is very, very cool. And written by a female director, just it's cool to see films like this. It's such a masculine kind of defined genre. See it through a female voice is very cool. So definitely a great first release from this label. Definitely highly recommended. Enjoyed this film a ton. And the second release, this is one I've had on my watch list for a few years now, because of the cast is just fantastic. And it's got this neo-noir and also kind of a bit of this like kind of blue velvet fish out of water lens. And when you see one of the stars of this film, it would make a lot of sense. So I was really excited to dig into Red Rock West from 1993, directed by John Dahl. I can't remember what else he's directed. I've seen a couple of his films, I swear, but this is definitely this kind of early 90s neo-noir kind of vibe. You get Nicolas Cage plays the main character. He kind of wanders into this town, Red Rock West, and he's looking for a job. Job doesn't really work out. He's kind of just bumming around trying to figure out like, oh, how do I get a job so I can get back home? I'm low on gas. All this kind of situation just keeps getting worse and worse. He ends up in this bar, and under a case of mistaken identity, he is hired to do a hit on the bartender's wife, and things go awry. And he's kind of trying to run away from this bartender, and the bartender finds out through Nicolas Cage becoming in contact accidentally with the man who was meant to kill, to be the hitman for the bartender's wife, and that turns out to be Dennis Hopper, and doing classic over-the-top Dennis Hopper vibes. It very much is like a Frank Booth, but a more like kind of southern, kind of Texan, Southern gentleman kind of play on Frank Booth, and kind of psychotic in a different way. This is a guy who's like more like a workaholic. Like he just takes his job as a hitman and kind of like an assassin so much more seriously than you probably should, and it like just doesn't trust anybody, and it's just so over the top, the three characters and then the wife at the same time. Just this whole feud between all of the characters, and it's just fucking insane. And I was just glued to this film the entire runtime. And like I said, I'd had my eye on this for a while because the cast is just unbelievable. You got a lot of other great people in this. It's just like a who's who. You got a great cast throughout this, and all of them are on their A game, doing just such amazing performances. And this is at a time, early 90s. I don't think, you had like Vampire's Kiss and stuff like that for Nick Cage, but I don't think he had hit that top tier that he would get like in the late 90s, in my opinion. This is even before Leaving Las Vegas and films like that, where he's really just going on this like insane performance. One of my favorites, Bringing Out the Dead. This kind of vibe. This is very early for that. And he's a bit more like kind of subdued and laid back. He's not as eccentric, but you could still tell he's like a bit off. And there's a few scenes where he just like snaps and starts yelling at people. It's just pure prime Cage throughout this thing. So it's a very good performance from him. And like I said, like Dennis Hopper, you get him in a film, and it's like automatically seeing them two like bounce off each other early on in the film before they know who each other are. It's just fucking brilliant. I really had a great time just watching them play off of each other. So like, yeah, it's just such a fun, crazy story. It just goes off on all these different like kind of you know, you can't really trust anybody throughout. Like you think they're coming from this angle, and it's just like so much betrayal and kind of psychotic kind of twists throughout this film. Really, really good. So, again, looking forward to seeing what they do with this label, sub-label going forward. I know in March they have the third release about to be announced, so I'm really excited to see what they're able to do, because they're doing really interesting stuff and kind of underrated American film, forgotten American films, a lot like what Fun City was doing when they were still a partner label. So it's cool to see Bleeding Skull come in and kind of take over for the Culture Shock absence, and it's also cool to see this label come in and kind of do what Fun City it was and continues to do elsewhere. So very cool, Red Rock West. Alright, getting into Vinegar Syndrome proper. This is the newest Vinegar Syndrome archive, release number 41 of Black Cat 1 and 2. I really do like this artwork. I saw a lot of people online kind of weren't that big on it. There's another release from 88 Films, I believe, coming out that people are more of a fan and more into, and I think that uses like the original poster art. You got this awesome booklet. This is, I believe, the first time you have VSA release with a booklet. Beautiful, a lot of great information. This is a Hong Kong film, and as I've been saying the last couple of years, like the Hong Kong releases are just top notch. I'm really getting into a lot of these category 3 wacky Hong Kong kind of films. Just a culture I wasn't so much familiar with. I was always really into like Korean and especially Japanese film. Like I knew so many great Japanese films, but Hong Kong always kind of eluded me. I knew a lot of the like kung fu kind of stuff, Shaw Brothers, Golden Harvest sort of material. But you know, these last few years opening my eyes to films like The Iceman Cometh, Bola Syndrome, Untold Story, all these kind of cool films. Undeclared War was really good as well. Just a lot of really interesting Hong Kong films. You get a lot of these just over the top. They're always really funny. They always have this really dark, twisted sense of humor to a lot of them. And these were fun, man. Both of these were really solid. I prefer the first one, but I mean, they were very neck and neck for which one I enjoyed more. And it's young one is killed. They kind of resurrect her through this. It's just a very convoluted, but you get that typical like kind of hired mercenary, sort of like a RoboCop kind of thing, but with a female. Just very intense, like action scenes. Great, again, great characters. A lot of what does it for me with these films is like believable, but still very over the top and very wacky characters, very eccentric characters. It's just very interesting to watch these people play these roles. It's just fucking a lot of fun. Such great action sequences. You get a lot of great like kind of VR aspects to a lot of this, as far as like early 90s sort of VR. This is from 91 and 92. So these are very early kind of 90s action fare. A little bit of like a, you know, American kind of shake to it. Like you do see a lot of the influences throughout this, but man, it's very original in the way it's told, the way it's shot. The look of the film is very cool. A lot of great atmosphere throughout it. Just really fun. You know, just not really a lot of plot that really needs to be talked about. It's just more just like kind of in your face, constant action, like kind of a lot of like betrayal of characters and these kind of twists and craziness and stuff through it. Just very cool. I'm definitely gonna watch them again so I can get more of like the kind of nuances behind it. But I had a blast with these films. Very cool. and continuing a lot of really cool stuff coming out on the VSA line. It was more just like sort of like, you know, direct-to-video action stuff, which was cool, but I feel like they're really starting to pick up their game with the VSA line, just releasing a lot of cool stuff. Up next, the 4K, first big 4K release of the year. That is the horrible Dr. Hitchcock from 1962. And man, this was real fucking cool. I love this slip cover, the inner slip, very nice. Like these kind of like original poster art kind of pieces. Horrible Dr. Hitchcock from 1962, Italian, but you do have a lot of like the kind of vibe you would get from the Hammer films around this time, which is very cool. Like the kind of gothic, you know, atmosphere of it works extremely well. And especially for like 1962, like this film does not shy away. Basically, the plot is this Dr. Baron kind of character lives in this giant mansion with his wife and his kind of maid servant kind of character. He's also a necromantic, like necrophile kind of character. And his wife dies. He has all these kind of death, like sex, violent sex kind of practices. She ends up dying, and he has a new wife that he brings to the house, and is basically trying to take the blood from his new wife and transport it into his dead wife to resurrect her. And it's just very brutal. Very just kind of graphic for its time, you know. It doesn't shy away from this kind of subject matter at all. It's very blunt, but the atmosphere is amazing. You know, the kind of castle in the woods is kind of evil vibes to it. Just very cool. Would fit in great with a lot of those classic Hammer films. Great performances. You know, the kind of the new wife is very, very good. She's not just a damsel in distress. You actually do feel for her. She's got a lot of range and a lot of depth in this character. Very well played. The servant, very great performance from her as well. Just everybody's on top of their game in this film. The atmosphere is just amazing. A lot of great cinematography throughout the film. The kind of framing, like I said, this is early 60s. I don't even think like a lot of like Italian genre film had really blown up by that point. I feel like a couple of years later you would have Bava with Blood and Black Lace and those kind of films come through and just make these insane kind of very highly stylized kind of films. But this is before a lot of that. You know, you probably had a couple of years before this when Hammer was just starting out, but you got a lot of that vibe. You know, it's very sleazy, very, you know, dirty, unapologetic, but great atmosphere, great characters, great performances. The score is just top-notch gothic horror. Just amazing film, and it looks gorgeous in 4K. So, yeah. Horrible Dr. Hitchcock. Just fantastic flick. And I wanted to shine a light on an older Vinegar Syndrome release that I wish I got sooner, but for some reason always slept on it. That is Ticks. This was fucking awesome. I loved Ticks. This is in 4K. This is from like 4 or 5 years ago, I want to say. They released this in 1983. Love this slip as well. Great. Like, this is a movie that definitely made me squirm. It was just like just giant ticks. I'm not big on like insects and stuff, and when you blow them up to like ridiculous sizes, yeah. I saw Brian Usna's name as a producer on this. I'm like, yep, I know what we're in for. A lot of great creature effects in this. This definitely does call to mind a lot of the classic creature features. The Harryhausen, William Castle, kind of over the top, kind of creature feature kind of things. I can't remember his name, but he did like AIP and stuff like that. So, like, you also got a lot of really good performances in this. You got Clint Howard just doing top tier Clint Howard. He is kind of the introduction of these ticks. It's all around this kind of campground with this summer camp kind of group. I guess they're like kind of troubled youths. They're trying to take them out of the inner city and put them into like nature, get in touch with nature to try to clean up their life and stuff like that. But what they don't know is that Clint Howard is sort of like a marijuana grower kind of figure in the area. There's a lot of people trying to like, let him do his thing, and just like it's just a lot of crazy characters. But he, in order to use the pesticides, they end up just radiating these ticks, and they all just start growing like crazy, and he ends up getting infested. That's comes later in the film. It's utterly disgusting. Really makes your skin crawl. You got a lot of interesting performances in this. You got Seth Green, who I've never really liked, but he's pretty solid in this. He's young. I mean, this is probably like a year or two after he did the mini series of It for television, which I have a lot of nostalgia for. I used to love watching that back in the day. You also have Carlton as from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the guy who played Carlton on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, just as this kind of inner city tough guy. It's awkward to see, you're thinking Carlton from that show, he's kind of always seen as like kind of like a rich yuppie kind of black kid, but in this he's definitely going for more of like a kind of street tough kind of thing. But it's awkward, like a lot of his line like deliveries are very over the top. You kind of meet him early on. He's kind of trying to be threatening towards Seth Green, and it doesn't really work, but they end up together on this nature kind of field trip kind of thing, and he is Carlton's first one to take off, and he's just like, I want none of this. I want to be back in the city, and ends up getting lost in the woods. You have two, I believe they're like kind of groundskeepers or hunters or something. They're just like, they just like shoot random people who are on their property, and like they just, I feel like there's like some kind of businessman kind of thing, but there's two of them, and they're definitely wacky as well. But like, and we got all these crazy ticks running around, like grabbing onto people. And the tick effects are just insane. The fact that Screaming Mad George wasn't involved in this, because I didn't see his name on it, but the fact he wasn't is kind of mind-blowing, because this stuff is just disgusting. And it definitely has that Brian Usna, Screaming Mad George kind of vibe. But I did have a lot of fun with it. Like I said, it does call back those classic creature features, nuclear fear, like 50s kind of over-the-top films. And that I really enjoyed. So, if you can take the kind of aspects of it, it's a wicked fucking fun movie. So yeah, Ticks. A lot of people have probably already seen it, but it's great. Early 90s, just creature feature goodness. And yeah, so that will do it for the movies. Let's get into some records. And first two I want to show from the same band. These are the vintage scores. Got these on my birthday a couple of weeks ago at Red Scroll. Every year I do the big Red Scroll run. Wanted to pick up a lot of titles that I hadn't gotten yet from 2023. Still working on my 23 releases from 2023 and my reissues video for 2023. Got a lot coming up. Just I want to get everything I can. But anyway, picked up these two classics. This first one is a reissue, Murphy's Law, the self-titled debut from 1986. This band is just fun. If you're not familiar with Murphy's Law, classic New York hardcore, fronted by the legendary Jimmy Gestapo. Just a character. Like, you hear this guy telling stories about how he went on tour with, like, Beastie Boys and stuff. And I've been seeing this band for years, man. They're just a ton of fun. Great, like, live band. Right now, actually, an old friend of mine, Benny Social, who used to play in a group called Sad Plant with his wife Amy. They're both the backing band for Murphy's Law right now, with Jimmy on vocals. I can't remember who was on drums, but it's just really cool to see them play. And this is just fun, party, dumb New York hardcore. Definitely paved the way for stuff like No Redeeming Social Value later on. But just, a really fun kind of aspect to a lot of this stuff. Sit Home and Rot, a lot of great anthems, Beer, Day in the Life, Skinhead Rebel, Crucial Barbecue's really kind of fun too. And it's just like, that classic late 80s New York hardcore. A lot of ska in it as well. You got this whole like skinhead kind of reggae vibe to a lot of it. And it's like, it's real fun. You can't go wrong. It's just a good time whenever you put on Murphy's Law. And then you got, I also picked up an original of their second album, Back with a Bong. You also got a lot of like crazy stoner and drinking humor and a lot of it. This is definitely not a band that takes themselves seriously at all. You got them all seated outside of CBGB's classic photo right there. You got the Cavity Creeps, old, like, what was it, like, for teeth hygiene. From the Cavity Creeps, we're gonna drill you. It's just, like, so funny that they made a hardcore song out of the Cavity Creeps. We drill holes in teeth. We drill holes in teeth. It's just great. And when they play it live, it's just a fucking blast. Quest for Herb is one of my favorite songs by them. They always open up with that. It's just a ton of fun. Secret Agent Skin is really kind of funny. It's sort of this kind of like James Bond secret agent man kind of song, but it's also like a skinhead song, which is just, it's totally funny. You got this weird kind of reggae dub track at the end called Bong, which, pretty much know what you're in for with that, just from that title. It's pretty goofy. A lot of fun. It is just like classic New York hardcore party vibes. Can't really go wrong. Yeah, it's offensive at times. You got America Rules, obviously the title. If you know, if you know, you know. But if you can get past all that and the kind of juvenile kind of sense of humor of the whole thing, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, happy to have those in the collection. And now let's move on to some 2024 titles. First up, we got Intercourse with Egyptian Democracy. I love that fucking title, man. That's pretty funny. And it's also paired up with old EP Bum Wine. I also have that on 7-inch. I always like that artwork though. It's pretty crazy. You got the cockroach kind of imagery. If you're not familiar with Intercourse, great like band locally. I guess they're like New Haven based. Rick, who's also in Infinity Land, a really great band locally too. You get a lot of like AmRep, Load, Dead Guy kind of vibes off of this. So think like records like Jesus Lizard, Go, or any of those kind of Jesus Lizard records. Cows, you have a lot of like cunning stunts by Cows. You have Fixations on a Coworker by Dead Guy vibes. That sort of delivery, just chaotic guitar work. Very like hardcore kind of vibes, but in that noise rock, jangular, like early chaotic metalcore kind of vibes throughout it as well. Just very, very cool stuff. I haven't sat with it a lot. They had a record last year as well. Can't remember the name of it. I will talk about that in the year-end release video. But this is a lot of fun, and they just never do disappoint. They've really kind of gotten into this kind of like realm of like every record kind of being, you know what you're getting in for, but like, man, it's just like sleaze and just decadence throughout the entire thing, just like unapologetically so. Rick's vocals are just maddening, like just insane. He sounds like a crazy person. And let me tell you, I see this band live, and you're in trouble. Just get the fuck out of my way. That's all I'm saying, because this band brings out the worst in me, unfortunately. I'm trying. It's weird because I'm getting the reflection of the TV on this. I should really take the fucking, cover sleeve off, but whatever. I'm lazy. I don't know. But yeah, if you're familiar with Intercourse, definitely check this out. But if you're not, I would recommend starting with their record from a bunch of years ago called Everything is Pornography If You Have an Imagination. That's pretty much their like it's just the prototype for what they're doing to this day. You get a lot of what their sound is, just the typical kind of Intercourse kind of sound and vibes, and the kind of fucked up lyrics. Just brilliant record. So yeah, get into more Intercourse if you get the opportunity. Up next, another recent release. This is split between Doom Beach and Chop 7 times. Doom Beach is sort of more in a kind of like sludge. You still got a lot of that noise rock influence on this as well. Just chaotic kind of noise. Two member band, just kill it live. And Chop 7 times is kind of a one-man cyber grind, mincecore. Seen him perform many times. Just great one-man project. He has the big trash can. He beats the shit out of a lot of noise elements. You got like these random hip-hop beats that come in. It's just very cool. I really like what he's doing. And seeing him do this split kind of album with Doom Beach really makes a lot of sense. These are two kind of different sides of a similar coin. Very big players in the kind of Connecticut underground weirdo kind of music scene right now. Just very cool, very heavy stuff, especially from Doom Beach, man. Their sets are just like engulfing, really intense, but like energetic and just like exciting all at the same time. So yeah, hell yeah. If you haven't checked out either of these bands, I definitely recommend this release. And yeah, really great album. I'm really liking it. I mean, already this is only, it's not even like March yet, and we've already had so many great releases. It's really exciting. And want to end this kind of with a foreshadowing for what's about to come from this channel over the next couple of days. I've been hinting that there are some big things coming to this channel, some new kind of formats I want to play around with. And sure enough, Wednesday and Thursday, you're going to get a little bit of insight into some of the cool stuff that I have in the works. Got a project coming on Thursday that I've been working on for a bit of time. I'm really excited to put it out there. And as you can see, rocking my brand new Pist Destroy Society kind of rainbow pride shirt. And that is in celebration of the first album in about 27, I believe, years from the Pist. This is Risen, the amazing artwork by the homie Tim Tanker. Just gorgeous artwork. And if you know Connecticut punk rock, you do know the Pist. They are probably the poster child of Connecticut punk rock. You know, you got a lot of the hardcore kind of stuff that people think of: Hatebreed, Death Threat, 100 Demons. But when it comes to punk rock, just street punk, fast, great, positive punk rock with a great message, great politics, all of it, the Pist always comes up. And they, like I said, they haven't released any new material since the late 90s, but really exciting to get this album because it feels like they hadn't missed a beat. You got a lot of really great songs on here. They actually played on Friday at what used to be the Amity Teen Center, now called 10 Selden in Woodbridge, Connecticut. Really great little venue. Really cool kind of vibe they got going on there. It's sort of set up like a juice bar. It's BYOB. Still allowed to dance. They might have the signs everywhere, but don't tell them I told you, but you can still dance. Just cool vibes. Place was packed. You got a great lineup. It was Freezing Process, my boy Kevin, who was also in Flapjack Attack formerly. A lot of great stuff from them, kind of like a more thrashier, kind of early 90s hardcore kind of vibe to that. Haste, this great band from a few years ago, reunited, that features Jim and Eric from Copyright Chaos and the Have-Nots and a few other bands. And their new recruit on bass, Trevor from Down with Rent, really great local punk rock band. Really been doing a lot of cool stuff the last few years. They were great. Fafa will always represent my girl Allie, and they were just incredible. Allie had a great speech you can see on Instagram. Can't remember where, but somebody posted the speech, and it was just really powerful about how this band influenced her life, and they pretty much influenced a lot of us coming out of Connecticut. They're always playing reunion shows for the last bunch of years. You also had Chemtrails featuring Jim Martin on vocals. Amazing band. You ever get the chance, if you're in Connecticut or outside of the state, you get the chance to see Chemtrails, see them. Great. Classic D-beat crust. If you love Profane Existence, Havoc Records kind of shit, you will fucking adore Chemtrails, I guarantee it. And the Pist headlined and just blew the place away. And these are a lot of new songs that they worked into the set. Off the top of my head, Authoritarian, Climb the Ladder, the new kind of anthem Pist, which is very cool. Cross the Line, sort of like a modernization of an old song they used to do called Warning Shot, an anti-cop song. Um, Very, very cool stuff. And you also have a great tribute to living legend, as I mentioned him before, Jim Martin. And it was cool seeing them play that song live and having Jim jump up on stage and dance around and sing with them and everything. It was just really fun. And at the end of the night, they did Street Punks as they're one to do. I jumped up on stage, grabbed the mic, and did my own thing. And apologies to the legendary Al Quint, who came to take pictures and was in the front row when I dove off the stage in my steel-toe boots and almost knocked him into a bunch of people. He didn't seem to mind, but apologies, obviously. And it was just a blast. And it's so cool to see this album coming out. Just new material from this band is just very cool. Like, I've been seeing them for so long. I know all the old songs, but to see them still able to say such relevant things, such powerful, important messages to these songs, and to prove that a lot of this stuff is still very real. A lot of this fights we were fighting in the 90s are still there. Maybe they've gotten a little bit worse, but we still stand for the same kind of beliefs and the same dreams that we've always had. And it's just very inspiring to get an album like this after such a long time. And it's, like I said, they have not missed a fucking beat. It's just amazing work. So yeah, pick up this record if you can. I'm going to put down in the description all the places you can order it from. Profane Existence, Ryyvolte Records, and Dismantled Records. And check out the rest of their releases. Obviously, Profane Existence is legendary, but Ryyvolte, really cool. They put out a 10-inch a few years ago of the Mankind discography. Great Connecticut band. From around the same time as the Pist. Al played bass on a couple of their 7-inches. Just really cool. And Dismantled Records has been putting out a lot of great, like, kind of street punk kind of adjacent stuff. They put out the reissue of Copyright Chaoses and Appetite for Intoxication, which was very cool. Still want to get a copy of that because that's like a classic from my youth, and that would be really cool to talk about in the top reissues of 2023. So like I said, I'll include those links down there in the description where you can pick up this record. It's just fantastic, and this is definitely a band that deserves your support and love. And they're touring pretty extensively this year. So if you're in Baltimore, I believe they're playing Pittsburgh, I think New York. They're just playing all over the place. So if they're in your area, 100% make sure you can go and see them. And that being said, stay tuned to this channel. Tomorrow I am dropping a video that has to do with Connecticut, the Pist, Mankind, all these great bands, sort of a trip back in time. And also Thursday, still on the hush. I will say more about that in tomorrow's video, so get excited about that. It's huge. This is a big next step in this channel. I also just hit 200 subscribers. I am not doing the live stream. I'm just kind of caught up with a lot of different things right now. I'm working on Midnight's Requiem material, a lot of different kinds of stuff in my life right now. Got a lot of videos I still got to work on for this channel, but I wanted to thank everybody for the 200 subscribers. I have been taking a little bit longer breaks in between videos, but it's cool to see everybody still in there, loving the videos, hitting up that comment section with really cool insights, a lot of cool ideas. There's a couple of ideas I got for future videos. So yeah, keep those suggestions coming. Keep talking about great releases, whether it's Vinegar Syndrome, Blu-ray releases, or Severin, or Def Crocodile, any of these great labels, or records, new records you like from the past that you're a big fan of, whatever your new like scores are. If you disagree with me on any of these records, let me know. If you agree and you're really psyched to hear the Pist record, or you really want to hear that Intercourse record, you're really over the hill about that Doom Beach and Chop 7 Times split, any of it, get down there in the comments. Let's talk about some cool stuff coming out this year, some records that have already come out you're really excited about. I really love the new Spectral Voice. The new Holder is amazing. She has not disappointed the last few years in releasing really solid black metal. Hopefully I can get a couple of these records, and in the next Stop, Watch, and Listen, I can talk about those. Just really off the bat, really great releases so far this year. The new Master is really good. The new Morbid Saint is really cool. Just a lot of classic bands still going at it. And after 2023, a lot of really cool stuff came out. But this year, man, it's going to get crazy. There's going to be a lot of really cool releases, a lot of interesting releases as well. So keep your ears tuned, not only to this channel, but to the world of music, film, and physical media in general. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled to this channel for those upcoming videos throughout the week. I am excited. I also have my favorite scores of 2023 and the aforementioned reissue and favorite releases of 2023 videos, probably coming in the next couple of weeks. I know it's taken a long time, but I want to make sure I have all the releases that I really want to talk about, because there's just so much that came out this year, and I kind of got a little lazy towards the end of the year. Again, financial and personal problems got in the way of getting a lot of this stuff, so it's good to just have this year to kind of play catch up. And I'm making sure that I'm buying as many new releases when they come out as I can, so that I'm not doing this, 3 months into the new year kind of situation. But I enjoy it, and I like all of you sticking around and continuing to watch these videos. Like and subscribe if you have not. If you want to find me on social media, I am the Hordes of Manzerfaust on Instagram. And yeah, that'll about do it. So this is Mike Manzer with another Manzerfaust Productions video. Stay fucking metal.